This is quite exciting. Welcome everybody to the first ever 10 and 11. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our first speaker tonight, Donna J, who will share their experience, strength and hope around step 10 for about 20 minutes. Donna, the room is all yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Donna and I am an alcoholic and an addict, and I have to first, before I begin to share, is to recognize my elder, Ralph. I have another elder in this meeting. Her name is Loretta. And Loretta was the first teacher that appeared that introduced me to this way of life. And Loretta, thank you. So it's interesting, I'm sharing on step 10, and today, the only difference about today than any other day recently is the fact that my mind kept telling me that I was going to be in front of many people. And so it tells me in step 10 that I cease fighting anything or anything, even alcohol. So I didn't even fight myself. That's a battle that is not for me to fight. So I kept leaning in. And when I leaned in, I was able to look at what I have been asked to do today with gratitude and with a lot of reverence, because how did I get to a place? And I'm looking at the words that are on page 84 and 85. Continue, grow, don't let up, daily, every day, constantly. When I didn't even understand that the solution to my problem was my oneness with God. So all day, God, please direct my thinking. I asked Ralph if I can share on step 10 because I have a new sponsor, Gwen. I was working with Gwen and Gwen passed away. She was 91 and I started working with Mike. And so when I was asked to do this meeting, because, they ask us to share before the time is, and I was doing some exercises in step 10. So I come to you with some current experiences. I'm reminded, I reference Rashid a lot because I really believe that spirits live within us. And he would always say, I can't live off of yesterday's experience. It's like yesterday's ham sandwich. And so I was asked to sit with what does it mean to grow in understanding and effectiveness? And through this journey, I realized that I have a role I have been assigned. It was a role that I probably wouldn't assign myself because I wouldn't know how to be available for you. I wouldn't have known how to make sure that the things that I say, that the things that I do don't cause you harm. And the cease fighting everything and anything, do I need to still be right? Or can I just be? And most recently, if I am willing to believe that this journey is about my oneness with God, that means that I have to be one with you as well. And I notice that on my own, I don't listen. And it makes sense why I can't listen to you, because I have a mind that wants me to believe that I'm not connected to you. So why should I listen? See, when I'm not conscious of my oneness with you, I already know what I want to say before you finish saying it, or I have a difference of opinion. And it's been brought to my attention on a very deep level. See, there's levels of, it's interesting because I now understand my listening is to not just to listen to what you're saying, but am I connecting with you? Is my spirit connected to your spirit? That perhaps it has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with you consciously, but there's a level of connection that's going on that we don't even realize. And it just requires, am I willing to get out of God's way? I didn't know how much I had to let go of my ideas about life, about myself. I was able to see some truths in step 4. I was able to see my beliefs. And my beliefs were an accumulation of what I've inherited from other people and what I added to the mix. Because I'm thinking that I need you to show up so that I can be okay. And then I see on a very deep level that it was very selfish and self-centered of me to expect you to be there for me when I'm not there for me. And that's when situations like that, my ego self began to diminish. I realized I wasn't this great big such a much. I realized it in step 4, and I've got to thank Loretta because I came into AA not knowing what's going on. But when I sat across from her in that church on 138th Street and Lenox Avenue, and she took a group of addicts and alcoholics, and it's interesting, in New York City, you can tell the people in NA who went through that big book. And I realized, well, there was so much that I didn't know, how much was hidden from me, that my mind could never let me see the truth. And I'm in Bill's story with some people, and I'm just so rocked by this mental fog that settles down, and I have no power against it, and it just settles down, and I let it time and time again. And so if my attitude towards liquor has been given me, that I'm no longer obsessing about it, it's no longer my solution, then a power, mighty power, was responsible for that happening. I was able to really deal and see on a very deep level that I didn't stop drinking on August 5th, 2000. The problem was removed. And so as I go through the rest of this work, here it is, I'm at step 10. So do you want to continue this new life that you've been given? And what I mean by a new life is a life that I'm not trying to run it. Can I be okay and not know? And that's one of the biggest experiences I'm having now is not know. When I started working with Mike, I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to have another deep first step experience. He said, well, how do you know? It's like, damn, right? I don't know. But it's very hard for me to totally let go. I remember when I was going through the work because I always felt that I had to protect me. I had to protect me so that you wouldn't hurt me. Because a lot of people get power by controlling other people, and if it includes hurt, then it does. And I had to trust a God enough that I didn't have to protect myself. That's not my responsibility. I can't worry about protecting me and being available to you. So it required me today to believe that I'm just supposed to sit here because there's no way that I can think about how I'm going to share on step 10 after 24 years of being in this program. I can't plot it out. I do know what it's like when I wasn't leaning in every day. And I think that was all part of my journey. I did let up. And all of a sudden I was back in the world again, power, money, and prestige. I was believing the lie that I didn't have time to pray and meditate. And I know Ralph's going to go into 11, so I don't want to really do too much with that. But whatever, it's important that I feed my mind a new narrative in the morning. So today, and this is interesting because this had nothing to do with me. I had my phone and I hadn't gotten out of bed yet. And I have 2 subscriptions to different spiritual apps. And today I intently read both of them. It was like I needed to set up because I knew that my mind wanted to make me feel nervous about what you thought, but I don't need to be nervous about what you're thinking about me because you are me and I'm you. Especially, I know so many of you from being in Zoom meetings. Why should I be afraid about what I share? So there's this battle that's going on that is not for me to fight. But I know who I want to be the victor. I want the victor to be God, so I'm going to lean that way. And so I get this text message from another elder that was in my early recovery, Barefoot Bill, and he sends me this text. Say this mantra 100 times through the day. Highest power, please direct my thinking. Thank you. And I text him back. I said, Bill, you have no idea that that's exactly what I've been doing. So I had to shout out to another elder. And I'm so grateful because I couldn't get here on my own. Am I willing to go to any length? I didn't even understand what that meant, but I kept, more was pulling me. I think sometimes I have to have these experiences where I'm not leaning and I'm not pausing so I can be convinced of how I no longer want to be. I think that's how God teaches us as well. But today has been a really interesting day that I can see where I can be pulled in both directions. I could easily think I can think again and be real nervous up in this piece. Like when the Brooklyn comes out in me. Or I can say, you know what? That's not for me. I'm supposed to sit where I know that I'm comfortable. I have a prayer. I did my third step prayer, and part of my third step prayer, I include some of the third step promises. And I know that we're talking about 10, but it does say that we take advantage of prayers. And take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy way, and thy way of life. Enable me to become less and less interested in myself, my little plans and designs, the what and the how of the future, and how it will manifest. Enable me to enjoy life with the hope and trust as I become more conscious of the nearness of your presence within me, and to turn to you so I can lose my fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter. May I do thy will always. And that was so appropriate for today. My little plans and designs. See, I don't know who is here, who needs to hear what they need to hear. But can I make myself available? And I always say that I think for me, I'm supposed to be in position because I know that I'm not perfect. And I think that's the thing that interferes, is knowing how human I am. And knowing how human I am, I can't believe that there's anything I'm going to say. But if I shift my perception and realize it's not me, then I can just share. And the things will come. It's this, develop this sixth sense. So can I trust that when I am quiet, when I'm not trying to think about what I'm going to say, it'll come? So I did some exercises recently, and some exercises are easier to do than others, but the ones that require me to not rely on my thinking mind, there always seems to be some uncomfortability and some fear around it. And the one recently, and I just shared in the 6 and 7 meeting this week, so I feel like I'm sharing what I share, but that's okay. That I had the first couple of hours of the day and I didn't look at any clock and I didn't look at any watch. And I couldn't hear the directions. Remember, I told you I'm practicing listening. I couldn't listen. I could listen, but I couldn't hear because I didn't want to hear it. And I couldn't hear what Mike was saying because I'm hearing me going, there's no way that you cannot look at a clock. How are you going to know this? Well, what happens if you miss this? And it was amazing. And to me, that was also part of the experience. To see that I can't hear because I'm too busy arguing in my head. I'll argue with you, I argue with me. And so it was to the point that I was willing to go to any length, but I also was afraid to go to sleep that night because I was afraid to wake up and do the exercise. I kid you not. Because I was willing to go to any length. It wasn't just a matter of don't look at any clock and don't look at any watch. It was rely totally on God. That's the thing I think was scary. Not looking at the clock, not looking at, but do I trust God enough? See, I can believe in God, but am I relying upon God? And the day went in a way that I did not expect it to go. I was kind of like led into doing things without much thought. I did another exercise to see, is God everything or nothing? Because that's what step 10 is for me. If God is everything, are you leaning into God? Are you pausing? See, because I've been awakened to when I'm becoming envious and when I'm becoming jealous and when I'm becoming impatient. Am I pausing in that? And I can always tell when it's self-will thinking because my peace is interfered with. I can't be still. My mind, God, still my mind and increase my heart. I understand why Bill sent me that message today, unbeknownst to him, how powerful it was when he says, say that thing 100 times a day, because the fear, 100 forms of fear. I'm doing my hair and I'm thinking about this meeting. I'm getting ready. I'm thinking about this meeting. So if this is at me 100 times a day, that means that I need to rely on this power 100 times a day. Because I don't want my mind to be my master anymore because it lied to me. It couldn't let me see the truth about alcohol. It couldn't let me see the truth about me. And it damn sure couldn't let me see the truth about you. I am willing to continue on this spiritual path because I'm clear that I have a role. God has assigned me a role. But the imposter always wants me to deviate and think it's something outside of me. That's why I can tell for me envy. When I see my contemporaries doing better financially and doing better career-wise, without me even realizing, all of a sudden, I go into self-pity. Pause and realize the fruits of their labor is what they're accomplishing. The fruits of my labor is being able to be here and carry a message. Maybe the fruits of my labor is to give some hope. But can I see how important of a role that is? See, I think for me, sometimes I forget what a gift it is to just be in position for God, be an agent for God. And there's really not much required. I don't need to be perfect. I think God laughs and goes, Donna, come on now. I don't need you to be any kind of way for me to share. But am I willing to go through the uncomfortability? Today was very uncomfortable. Trust me on that. But it's no more uncomfortable than sitting in fear and sitting in doubt. It's really uncomfortable not allowing my mind to have its way with me. It won't let up. And so I have to ask myself, am I willing to sit in some new uncomfortability? Because at least in this new uncomfortability, there's a transformation on the other side. Maybe we start outgrowing some things. We automatically outgrow some things in step 6. You ever notice after a 5th step, all of a sudden, there's certain behavior that just falls to the wayside? I remember after my fifth step, not my first, but my fifth step with Adrian. There we go. All right. Well, see, this is the thing. We just keep on sharing. And then am I going to have enough to share? Thank you, guys.
My name is Ralph White. I'm an alcoholic. Donna J. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to share a platform with you. Thank you for your energy, your passion. I like the way you wear it. Enough of me talking about you though, because I don't have but 19 minutes and 40 seconds now. And so sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. That's the intent. Let's leave alone the method to improve what's the genesis of the 11th step anyway? So, a lot of times we come in the program and people talk about you guys are giving me tools for living. And I think, I can miss it. I can miss what we do. I can miss that what I'm really about is grasping and developing a manner of living. They call it the A way of life. Many times it's described as a design for living. And so if I use that overview and so when Donna kept talking, it was referring back to step 3, it was referring to 6 and 7 and have to. We're not talking about a series of discrete actions in here. We're talking about an integrated set of principles which result in a way of life for a guy like me, a fall down guy, a face plant guy, a messy guy, a make things happen guy, a get into stuff guy, a bite off more than he can chew guy, a want to control you, a way of living that works for a smoker. For a guy to walk the streets in the middle, a way of living that works. And so we talk about this integrated series act. Where is the genesis of this 11th step? Where does it start? So because you talk about a tool. Well, if I'm driving a car, the car is the tool. But I could talk about when I want to make a left turn, need to use the tool of a turn signal, and so I use the turn. Okay. When I drive at night, the tool is turn on the headlights. When I'm want to make a stop, when I get to an intersection, the tool is the brakes. The tool is the car. All those are part of the tool is the 12 steps. The other pieces are integrated. So I start thinking I can pull one out I can't. Where does the 11th step start? Well, I get on my knees. I got on my knees for the first time, probably in November of 1987. My sobriety date is October the 11th, 1986. And back in 87, I got on my knees with a group of people and I said, okay, God, do something with your boy. I'm offering myself to you. Do something because I done made a mess of it. I'm already convinced I can't. One of the reasons why we talk, you guys, and I've learned some things in the rearview mirror. Donna mentioned that experience, yesterday's experience, you can't live off yesterday's experience. And they used to say you can't win today's game with yesterday's scores, but it's my gold. It's my currency. It's what I bring to you. It's what makes me a valuable sponsor. It's what allows me to live my life is looking back on those things. So looking back on my experiences, I was convinced, somebody, God, whoever, take this. And I got set out on a course of action, you guys, because I suffer from an illness. I need spiritual experience. I wish I had about 2 hours because I'm tempted to sidebar into several other things, but I'm not because I'm going to try to take us where we're trying to go in this 11th step, you guys. But that almost sent me somewhere. So I get in the 11th step. So I come up out of that third step. And now the way that I've done a third step, why are you talking about third step? You're supposed to be talking about 11th step because I am talking about 11th step. This is the genesis. This is where that step starts. It takes root. It talks about in the 11th step, sought the prayer to improve my conscious contact. I got to get a conscious contact. This is the get a conscious contact piece. So I get off my knees and now I start this what seems like the mechanics. I start this self-examination piece. I look at my resentments, my sex conduct, and my fear. I start doing that over the years, you guys, and I've been doing it. It's heavy lifting at first. When you first do your first inventory, it feels like manual labor. It's heavy lifting. I have to do some stuff myself, and it feels like but over time, as you've been doing it, and in the course of my 38 plus years, I don't know, I do regular things. I've done, gosh, and I don't say this for any reason except to say it for the cumulative effect. I know I've done close to probably 20 real annual inventories, and what happens with that, I couldn't dance. Contrary to popular belief, not all brothers can dance. Now, Ronnie was on Soul Train. My younger brother, Ralph, of course, all I got in my bag, ladies, all I got is a cha-cha, right? And I didn't have that. 13 years old, I'm learning the cha-cha with my first cousin, and I would do 1, 2, cha-cha, and I would look down at my feet, and I had to count it out, and if I got off step, I was really bad. That was 13. By the time I was 17, I had been doing it for a while, and so now I could let your hands go, I could spin, I could turn, and now that I'm 71, if you see me, if you guys go out somewhere and you get to see me and Leslie out somewhere or something, you'll see me and I'll be killing a cha-cha. I'll turn my back, I'll go over here, and I put my own flavor to it, right? I'm improvisational. Why is that? Because I had the mechanics down. I've done the mechanics for a long time. And so I encourage anybody here on the platform that's new to doing this inventory process and new to doing this way of life, do it. Do the mechanics. Get concerned with the mechanics. I mean, be overly concerned. What is this supposed to say in the force? I don't get caught up in none of that now. But early on, it was important. It's going to be important, particularly as I grow through life, because I don't talk about this, you guys, like it's homework. I talk about it because I got grandkids that look up to their granddaddy. I talk about it because I got daughters that really love their daddy. I talk about it because I got a mate that feels like she's with somebody she can respect. I talk about it because I got a 95-year-old mom that I was scared of losing 3 weeks ago. And she knows her son is a rock. Where did that transformation take place? That transformation is the result of the application of these 12 steps. So I do this self-examination, and then I do the scary part. I tell on myself, I'm a secret keeper. I don't do that. Where I come from, number one, inventory, that's called a paper trail. I ain't doing that. The fifth step, that's snitching on yourself. I ain't doing that. But I was convinced of the way that I was living, and the spiritual experience that starts overwhelming and overtaking me as a result of some stuff I didn't even know was going on when I sat with you in meetings. Don't discount the power of meetings. It's not just about sitting in seats. I suffer from an illness that only a spiritual experience can conquer. For a guy like me that sits in dope houses, for a guy like me that does the aimless, for a guy like me that likes to surround herself with girls like you before you have a spiritual experience, that like to walk out of motels with me, for a guy like me to sit myself in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous or Cocaine Anonymous where they're talking about, that's a spiritual experience. It's part of the spiritual experience. Don't discount that. Don't discount all of what we do. But anyway, so now I do this fifth step, and now we get to the 6 and 7, and we talk about this transfer. Okay, when I do the 6th step, am I entirely ready? I've looked at some stuff. I've seen it for myself. Ooh, it's ugly. Some of the ugly stuff I won't go on immediately. Some of the other stuff, self-righteousness, having the last word, being controlling, need you to look up to me. Some of that stuff, I'm not sure that it don't serve me well. So some of that, it takes time, to be ready to be rid of that. And then in that 11th step, sometimes people say, oh, how much, it says, humbly ask God. That's it. When I start putting other stuff on it, I undermine humbly ask. That's why it ain't but 2 paragraphs. Humbly ask. probably ask, well, wait a minute. I got this. Am I not supposed to participate? Yeah, just keep doing what it is we do. Go see the people now. Go out and see the people. Make stuff right. They'll look at somebody and not recognize him. He's sitting in front of me, but what? And so I'm making it right. I go to see the people. And so now I've done these ego reducing series of exercises 4 through 9. My ego should be smashed, right? I should be good to go. Well, no, Ralph is Ralph. That ego rises back up, right? It's like when you flush a toilet, the water goes down, and pretty soon, what happens? Everybody know. Slowly but surely, it starts coming back up, and people you get to use in the bathroom is full of all of what's in it. And so now, when it gets full again, time to flush. 10th step, bam. Right? Because I keep getting full. And I got a new address in the 10th step. But the 10th step, something happened to me in the 4 and 5. Something got installed. You techies these days, because what I'm doing, you guys, is this new way of living. Like I bring my hardware. That's what we talk about when we say we're not cured of alcoholism. My hardware is once I'm a pickle, I'm a pickle. I can't change the hardware. So it's software we're talking about. And so I have some software. I got some old programs that don't serve me, and they don't serve me well. Those are the things I look at in 4 and 5. Some of those, they seem like they're So now we override. But some things take place in the 4th and the 5th step, you guys, that I like to think of that I didn't know was going on. I got some apps that are being installed. A couple were already there, but I hadn't run them. I hadn't downloaded them. And so when I get to the 10th step, and then turns out, as a result of doing this 4 step, that's why you keep doing these 4s and 5s, keep doing them so that they come natural. So that now when somebody disturbs me or when something happens to me, I immediately know what the cause is. I immediately know, what it is that's going on with me. Dude, okay, this dude disturbed me. He was a broker on the other side of this deal. You know what? He told me, shut up. Talk down and what? Are you serious with me? What did that affect? Affected everything in me. My self-esteem. Who you think you're talking to? My pride. You must think you're better than me. My ambition. I'm trying to get this deal to work. My security. My emotions. I'm shook. I'm messed up. My personal. I ain't fooling with you. I ain't fooling with your client. Not my sex relations, but it was messing with my money. This was a money deal I was involved in. So we going at it, you guys. We going at it hard. And he says, man, I'm gonna hang up. We don't need to. And I, when I do inventory, you guys, one of the crucial questions I ask myself is, when did this become about you? That's not for every one of the calls, but every now and then, that's one. When did this become about you? He told me, shut up. I made it personal. I'm representing somebody. I'm in a business deal, but now it's a big balls contest. Oh, hell no. And he's this dude sitting there saying, now I let the angry black man come out. Oh, you need to know this is a brother over here and we'll roll on you, right? All that, because, self-centered fear looking bad, fear he's going to take advantage of me, fear he think he's more man than me, fear, all that self-centered fear activates, chief activator defect come out, right? So now me and him are going in the heat of the battle. Now we're talking about 6 and 7, 10 and 11, integrated, how they work together, 4 and 5, how all this works together. So we're in the heat of the battle, right, you guys? And so I didn't know that when I was doing that 4th step and that 5th step, I launched this app and I downloaded it. And when it was time, I found out, check this out. I got a watcher. So now I'm watching for resentment. I'm watching for fear. I'm watching for dishonor. I'm watching for selfishness. And because I've been doing the dance in 4 and 5 so long, I've been doing it. This happened last year. So I'm 38 years old. I'm already, I've been dancing that dance so long. It's automatic, right? And so I'm seeing it. But I got to watch. Here's the other thing that I got installed. I didn't know I had this installed. Here's where the 10th and the 11th step, they almost always work simultaneous. And in the 11th step, I got a pause button installed. What? I don't have to come at him the way I was coming, before. Now I gotta confess to you guys, I came hard for a minute, but I got to watch it and I got to pause. And it's pause in the pause is when 6 and 7 take place. The integration of our steps. In the pause is when I invite God to come in here, and this defective character, what I think you think about me, this defective character. Oh, we in the testosterone thing. I gotta win. I gotta have the last word. You can't. No. So all these defects of character, self-centered fear. Because this dude was a little more experienced than me. He had some stuff going. So I got this fear. And this thing. But in the pause, what do I get to do? When we talk about the 7th step, humbly ask, okay, God, this your show. This is you. I came over, trust me battling with old boy, I'm going to go with what it is that I thought I knew. But I'm going to invite you in here to lower the temperature. And oh my God, you guys, the convergence of 6 and 7, that's the ground that takes place. We don't have a whole lot of time for me to be talking about the prayer, but the 11th step. So to see the integration of our program. And so the final piece. So you see what happens, as a result of practicing this way of life diligently, over and over. 4 and 5 is so important because it is going to be the framework from which I operate moving forward in my 10 step. Moving forward, every time we look at the 10, it says look for the same things I look like in 4 and 5. Selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. In the 11th step, it's going to repeat it. Wait a minute. What the hell? Why do you think we only need 2 paragraphs for 6 and 7? Because the whole book is about that. We're looking for selfishness, resentment, dishonesty, fear. We give them different names. We call them defects of character. We call them bondage of self. We call it but all of it is too much Ralph between me and God. Grow God, shrink Ralph. That's the formula. That is the formula. But we talk about, and these are the steps that we use to bring about, to implement that formula. And finally, I got something else that was installed. It was a program that I would encourage anybody, now this app doesn't come necessarily, it doesn't come with the hardware already. Some apps, I believe the Watcher was already in me and needed to be downloaded. The pause, that was new. But there's a final one that I got installed too. And it's one that is a wonderful spiritual tool. I call it the Resonator. And that app got installed somewhere along the line, the Resonator. When you sit in a platform like this, don't worry about whether or not that clown is talking right now. Don't worry about whether or not you agree with him. Don't worry about whether or not what he's saying is right. Don't worry about if he does a 4th step and in his 4th column he says, my part. Don't let that bristle. What the hell is he doing saying? The book don't say nothing about my part. If he says recovered and you say recovering, the book is, don't get out of that. Now that's me. Be there if that's where you are. You know what I'm saying? Be there if that's where you are. But that's sidebar. That's sidebar. And I used to get out a lot of life. And that's crazy. That discounts the power of what it is that we're working with. Ralph, you must not remember that you did the aimless walk for 2 years. You must not remember the power of the horn. You must not remember that there was something that had you in its grips so tough that everything that you a mama's boy and you broke her heart. You wanted to be a daddy with everything in you and you couldn't pull it off. And now you get into a place like this and you trip off whether or not they saying my part or not, or recovered, and you get out of here. Look at your feet. What's your life like? Get out of the language. Get out of the semantics. Be in the semantics while you're in them. I'm saying, I know I'm saying more than one thing, but be where you are. I'm where I am at 38 years. Be where you are at 38 days. You know what I'm saying? Be there. I am. So finally, like I said, don't worry about whether this clown, you understood him. Does it resonate? That's the spiritual language. My name is Ralph White. I'm an alcoholic.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Donna. And this is the moment where you two guys are going to have the floor for around 10 minutes where you can have some discussion about 10 and 11 and what you've both shared on. So, Donna J, Ralph W, the Zoom is yours again.
Hi, Donna, alcoholic again. And Ralph, thank you for taking us through the steps. Because I do believe in step 10, I need to do 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I had a Gwen used to tell me 10, 6, and 7. And I really need to see the truth in the situation, not just where I've been troubled. So I want to thank you for taking us through that journey. And also, we can't forget. Like, I have to realize where I have been delivered to. So thank you for your entire share, but those two things resonated with me. And I don't know what we're supposed to be doing here, but here we are. So
We're just talking. So in your time here, because somebody is new, and you see these two people and you see this gorgeous woman sitting in front of you, the power of and one of the reasons we tell our stories, you guys, is because you ain't going to appreciate where we are if you don't know where we come from. And if I look at Donna right now, I'd be like, what the hell is she doing in here with us? She ain't got down like that. I have a couple of questions, and I'd like you to, when we talk about the 10th step and the 11th step, because it'll feel like, okay, sometimes we do one or two things, in the program. I've noticed, at least for me. Sometimes I will be here and I'll be on this spiritual hilltop. I will make it seem as if, wow, this is what we need to do, but it seems kind of inaccessible. Other times, in my effort to feel or to show just how humble I am, I will make it seem like, oh no, if you got up before me, you're more sober than I am today. Both of those are extremes. My question, though, is here's a place, 12 and 12 describes it. Have you experienced in your years, and if you have, what's been your biggest crisis of faith? And in the context of these steps, what did you do in that situation?
So very recently, a year ago, my cat went missing, and I loved Sam. And all I can do, Ralph, was lean in. Every time I thought about this cat, the pain that I experienced. I'm not a mother. I don't have children, but I love that cat like it was my own. And I knew that if I didn't lean in, I wouldn't be able to function. But the amazing thing is, because it was like it was a breath work thing, leaning in. And then I was able to have the power to make the signs. I had the power to get on my bike, to walk around. I was able to experience how many people care about animals, how many people actually look at the signs and call you and say, hey, I just saw a black cat. I wouldn't have been able to see humanity if I had been stuck in the pain and not being able to get out of bed. I felt that Sammy was my martyr. That Sammy, me losing Sammy, enabled me to deepen my relationship with God. And what it also did, for the first time ever, I thought about my mom. And it hit me. Was my mom leaning in and praying when she didn't know where I was at? That happened out of that experience.
Hmm. What scares you?
Not knowing, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing if I'm going to have enough money until I die, not knowing what's going to happen to me. Yeah.
What do you think is there anything, or have you encountered a situation in sobriety? Uh, I have a couple, and maybe I'll throw a couple out and see if it works. Because maybe some people. Have you ever had a situation that you felt like this one is too big for God? Maybe a loved one that just wouldn't get sober.
Yeah, I was in a very codependent relationship. And I got very sick in that relationship because I thought that I had the power to get this person sober, and I didn't realize how much I depended upon this person. And I stayed because I was afraid to let go, because I was afraid to find out that if I didn't have anybody to blame, I'd be screwed, because now what? And so I stayed because it was easier to blame them. And I did all the classic snoop. What did I have to do to be okay? In the morning, I had to know what he was doing. I walked around with my cell phone in my hand. And I went through the work, went through the 12 steps with an Al-Anon sponsor, and the obsession to obsess over this man was lifted. And I was able to see on a very deep level that this man did not have the capacity to be anybody other than who he was being. And that's the kind of experience I had in that. And with nicotine, the problem was removed because I was able to see. And with nicotine, I was able to see how that separates me from God and people. Before I would get ready to do something, I wouldn't pray, I'd go smoke. Let me get ready, I'd go smoke. If I cared about you and I hadn't seen you in 30 years and you came up to me and I had smoked a cigarette, I wasn't going in for the hug. And that's the kinds of things that happen as I go through this work. I start seeing things from a perspective that I can't see with my mind. And then just like that, the obsession to smoke was lifted. I don't even remember the last day I smoked. So I believe that the way you went through the steps, I'm so glad you did that, because that's how we get to right here, right now, is the work that we do leading up to here.
So in the codependent relationship, when you were in the fear, what defects were glaring that showed up during that period?
What didn't? Controlling. I was a manipulator. I was a sneak. I would look at his phone to find out where he was at, and I couldn't let him know that I did that. So my conversations were like a goddamn inquisition. Oh, so where are you going this weekend? I already knew, but I couldn't let him know that because I was trying to catch him. I knew. See, it's interesting. He didn't have the capacity to be honest, but I couldn't see that. But I was trying to catch him to be honest. I wasn't letting him walk out the door. No, you're not going to leave without admitting what you did to me. And the joke is on me because that didn't need to happen. I was able to be free, and nobody had to pay.
Okay. And how has that experience informed or aided your sponsorship?
I have experience to share with other people. And I think that everything that we go through so that we can be uniquely qualified. I really do, Ralph, because that's what makes us so effective. And I believe that God will send us people that we haven't experienced. And if I don't, we have enough lights in here. That's why we have to build a fellowship that we crave. I have to have people that walk this path with me so I know where to send them. I had a lot of people that sent me the wives and the girlfriends of the alcoholic because they knew that I had done work in Al-Anon. And when I did the work in Al-Anon, I was living in Brooklyn, and somebody had given my number to some women in Ireland, and this was during Skype. I'm still in the crazy relationship, trust me, I'm reading the big book and he's walking by and my mind is not in the book. My mind is, where's he going? What's he doing? But I stayed in service. And then I'm Skyping with women in Ireland. That's how my belief in God turned into faith, because these were things that were happening that I had nothing to do with. Do you want to share some of your experiences?
You shared them. One of the things, the last piece I want to append to that, because we only have 45 seconds, but I want to append a little piece to what you said. And this is, in the sponsorship realm too, in addition to having the experience where I can share, it does something else. There's another piece that happens in the sponsorship. It gives me empathy. I'm the kind of person that the only minor surgery is surgery on somebody else. Well, when you sponsoring, you can see it. Oh, get over that. That's some bullshit. But when it happens to you, now you are able to fully invest in that sponsor and realize, no, it's more than just a throwaway line.
Yes. And that's what makes it so effective, because we understand the pain and the hopelessness. What a gift.
Wow. 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 I'm going to just open it straight out to the rest of the Zoom for questions and answers. Please raise your virtual hands and you will be invited in to speak, to ask your question. You can raise your hand by clicking on participants, click raise hand, and we will limit our question time for around 2 minutes. The Zoom is yours. AC, staying vigilant.
Thank you. Oh shit, brain fart. I can't totally forgot your name. Katie and where are you? Janie. Sorry, Janie. I can't claim that the memory worked. I just looked down the participants. I'm so self-centered that I thought, yeah, sharing time, and I talk about me. No. Right. So I did come up with a question though. I understand that sadness and love and pain all go together. But how do you handle that? Because I don't mind saying I struggle with that a bit.
You say sadness? Say your question again is what?
So I struggle sometimes with, when you love someone, there's an inevitability that sadness and pain and separation, even if you're in a marriage for one of these marriages that's 30 or 50 years and lasts forever, at some point there's still going to be separation, sadness and pain. And I don't mind saying I'm a human being. I struggle with that at times. So, yeah, what's your view on that, and how do you manage that? Yeah.
Want to answer that, Rob?
Oh, I will. Some stuff is subjective to people. So everybody, my grandparents were together 56 years. I don't know that my grandfather ever inflicted the same kind of pain on his wife that I brought into. So that's individual. Sometimes when people say it's inevitable, I don't know that separation. There are couples who say, let me let the Academy Award music go. But for me, when you say sadness, separation, how do I handle that? Believe it or not, AC, I know this is going to sound really, really radical, but believe it or not, practicing these 12 steps, believe it or not, result in a transformed life. I always remember I want to, go and get the hits and the tips and the cliff notes. It's got to be something else. Give me a shortcut. And the shortcut for a smoker is I want it to the head right now. For grown people, which when you sign up for recovery, you're signing up for grown folk. What comes with love is sometimes the experience of what feels to me like pain or separate. No, That comes with it. I love my daughters. I love my girl. I love my mom. My mom, I'm going to say this and I'm going to get out of here really quick. My mom is 95. And 3 weeks ago, yesterday, she took a fall, fell on her head, broke her pelvis. I got scared to death. Separation, fear of that. Love my mom. Felt like a physical and an emotional pain that was going on. It's the price of admission to love somebody. I've been transformed that I don't run and I lean in. And with anybody else, I probably am not the best person for just a general question like that. But sadness, we keep it moving. Donna just shared what happened. We keep it moving. Pain, most of the time, pain is the pain of holding on rather than letting go. And the words come to life, and that is experiential. That's not read. When you say God is everything and He is, that's experiential. You can't read about it, And so, I, as a transformed person, and over 38 years, I'm here to tell you that I've had some painful situations, and I got 100% survival rate, trusting in God.
Thank you. And Jackie is next to ask a question. Jackie?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Jackie, alcoholic, and so happy to be here. Ralph, Donna, well, first off, Janie, congratulations on the first meeting of 10 and 11, off the Chihizzy, as they say. Donna and Ralph, thank you so much for being the example, for being a witness to the promises. My sobriety date is 1/2/23, and so I'm in the throes of just living, and you call it cloud nine, you call it whatever it is, but throwing myself into this way of living, just baby steps. I'm just a toddler going along, but what I do know is what I know and what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing. Ralph, you called it resonating. Donna, you called it connecting. And and you can't fake that. So I thank you for that. And I had to say thank you. I know you want a question. So, while I was sitting here trying to be all, such a much and come up with a really, really intelligent question, I realized that was again my ego. So I'm going to ask something very, very simple because I really want to know this. As I said, I'm new to the program and loving every minute of it, even through the pain, through the bullshit in life's terms, on life's terms, as they say. And what I've found initially is I would memorize a prayer and say, memorize the serenity prayer, say it over and over again, attending meetings, doing the third step prayer, memorize the 7-step prayer. And then it shifted somewhere where I started really having a relationship and talking. Donna, you speak to dying of self. Ralph, you speak to the piano keys, I call it, of getting to 11. What specifically, or if you could, type of, not the prayer, but what's your daily thing? Like, how do you know you're talking to God? Or, I know this sounds crazy, but do you do it always? Or is it a set time? Is it both? That's as simple as I can get. Or none of the above.
Go ahead, Donna.
Jackie, it's always. It's this knowing. And it's a knowing that I got to without knowing that I got to. Like, it's just like, yeah. I don't think that I think it happens to us and through us. I just know that I experienced some things as I wrote inventory. I was writing inventory and I was seeing people from an entirely different perspective than how I had been thinking about them. I know that wasn't from my mind. And so when I had enough, and because Loretta had told me early on, Donna, when you're writing inventory, you ask God to reveal. And so that became my practice in 2001. Not just put pen to paper, but everything was asking God. everything was asking. That was new for me. I never asked God for anything, but in the asking of God, I started to witness things that were coming down on the paper that I hadn't been thinking about. Like my first inventory, how does kindergarten get on there? And so I just had a series of those that leads up to playing the piano keys, right? That there's just this knowing. Now, a day like today, my mind wanted to pull me in another direction. It's been a powerful day for me today because I know I'm fundamentally okay. But it felt like a spiritual warfare going on that was not my battle to fight. I just leaned in this way, but it was still a lot of that. So yeah, it just becomes a knowing for me. And I think for many of us.
Yeah, I want to answer that. I'm gonna take it fast because there's so many hands, so I'm gonna try to be quick. If Donna answers and I don't have an answer, I won't. But on that one, uh, Jackie, when you hear two people come on, and I used to love getting on meetings like this, be where you are. That's number one. You can't transport yourself at 3 or 4 years over to 30. Be where you are, And so some of this relationship is experience. It's experience. It's organic. It's not. It is developed. I'm gonna say something. More than one thing can be true in the spiritual world. This is gonna sound crazy. Like my daughters and my grandkids. I think if I'm doing my job, a lot of what dad does, they take it for granted. They know daddy's there. They don't all day just be calling me and things. And for me, I used to trip off that, you guys. When you say, are you thinking about him all day? Yeah and no, in the sense
Right.
of there's things I have an expectancy. I have an expectancy that now there used to be a time when I would hit crisis and have to wonder and think and really actively. Now it is a walk of, and I think that's. I don't trip off that, you guys. I know it sounds bad and it doesn't sound good to say I take it for granted, but I don't mean it in that sense. I mean it because I thought about that with my daughters. My daughter's here, just parenthetically young and pretty. All you guys, I'm going to be coming to London from August 8th through the 20th. My daughter's moving there for 2 years. So I'm coming in to get her settled, get her flat, and I hope to see some of you guys. But River is staying with me for the next 3 months, saving her money, because she's in this master's program in Lambda. And so she's going to do that. But it dawned on me, my daughters, and they're both grown, there's some stuff they take for granted. I didn't have a dad to take for granted. God is like that with me. It's some stuff that I've been walking so long now. I know the presence, and I don't have to. I'm the kind of brother that think I have to present serious to be serious. I have to present credentials to be credentials. I don't have to present God's credentials.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Ralph and Donna. And now we've got Sarah.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, alcoholic addict. Lovely to be here this evening. Thank you for putting on such a great meeting, everyone in service, and thank you everyone just for being here to make the meeting possible and experience some of the stuff Donna was just speaking about in a step 10 about, like, I wanted to ask a question and immediately I put my hand up and then I wanted to put it down again because I just think everyone's going to think I'm worried what I'm going to be judged about this question. So the question is, like, I still feel quite embarrassed about sharing my spiritual experiences with other people. Does that ever go? I mean, I said to someone on the phone who's not in the program, I said, thank God you got medical insurance. And I thought, my instinct was to say, oh my God, she's going to think I'm a Bible basher. So, and sometimes I feel like I'm like it with people in the fellowship. I can't go really in depth about my experiences that I'm having. Does that go? The fear?
Yes. But I so identify with it because for me, one of my beliefs is I have to worry about what you think about me. And that's not popular. God is not a popular thing. Now, when I was working with a woman, and this was 2 years ago, in the UK, and we couldn't get our time zones right, so she specifically said, Donna, look for a godly woman in AA. And I went to an AA meeting, and I hesitated. And the person that I was talking to, I know that they're on a spiritual path, and so I knew that they would understand. And it was all these other people that were standing around them. And in that moment, I hesitated. But something that whenever I say it's something, it's always like the spirit within for me, the God within. I asked for a godly woman, and I got one. But for a moment, I worried about what people in AA were going to think about me asking for a godly woman. So I totally get it. And I think over time, if we push past what people think, pray, that's something that I can bring into step 6. God, please remove this belief that I have to worry about sounding good, worry about what people think about who I am. So keep bringing that to step 6.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Sarah and Donna. Next up, we have Ark House.
Good evening, everybody. Gavin Addict. Thank you very much for your service, everybody. Thank you, Ralph and Donna. That was a real privilege to listen to. I think the two things I take from that, amongst everything else, was the be where you are and the leaning in terms of Ralph and Donna, what you both said. Could I ask you, I don't know if it's the right question, but I'm going with it anyway. This is all relatively new. Could I ask you both, you both spoke about your teachers. So in terms of your early recovery, was there any particular thing that was suggested or advised to you with regards to 10 and 11 in a snippet, if that makes sense?
Ralph, you want to take that one?
Yeah. In my early recovery, I was not even close to 10 and 11. I spoke at a meeting. I had about 4 months sober, and it was a topic meeting. Crenshaw line on 12 noon. Topic was step 11. Young Ralph gets up to the podium and says, I've been doing the 11 steps since I got sober. They told me to put your shoes under the bed, pray in the morning. I've been praying since I got sober, forget the meditating. And I've been praying, and I cherry picked a couple of words out of the step, and I was sincere. And I've been praying all the time. You don't have to do the steps in order. Some of the steps you can do, when you do them. I'm 4 months, young Ralph, knowing everything. And the old timers then say, thank God, thumpers, take heed. Nobody checked me. Nobody got to the podium and corrected me. Some people would say maybe somebody should have pulled him to the side, but I was at the Crenshaw Lino Club every day at 12 noon. And people realized this young brother was on fire for this. He'll get to where he's going to go. It's better that he's on fire, in the family afterward it talks about, it's better he's on fire for these spiritual matters, even if it's misguided, than chasing dollars or trying to come up or trying to get back. So my point in that is, no, I wasn't talking about 10 and 11. When you said early, I'm talking about really early. I hadn't even done a third step. And then a fourth and a fifth step, So there are some things that people were pointing out in a behavior modification kind of way. Treat folk right, get the money back. If you see too much change, give it back, doing that kind of stuff. But I grew. I'm not here to tell you guys or to give you, I'm telling you how Ralph's journey was. Not everybody else's. Ralph's journey. My early journey was planting myself in meetings neck deep, training my feet. You're in the Ark House right now. I plan my. You heard 2 people today that are way down the road of recovery, sharing some stuff that are, they are coming attractions right now. Get neck deep. Don't feel like I'm less than. Just get neck deep in this program. It will serve you well.
And I just want to add, I wasn't in 10 and 11 early on, and I told you that I did some work with Loretta. Just step one was powerful, because I didn't see how powerful alcohol really was. I mean, I saw the step on the shades in the meeting. I'm powerless over alcohol. My life is unmanageable. And my ego can look at that word powerless and go, yeah. But I was just so immersed in what I could never see, how powerful this alcohol was. And I was told early on, and I believed that if I didn't work a step, don't share on a step, because then it's just me thinking I can think, and it's all about theory of what I think I know. So I didn't share on 10 and 11 until I really understood and had gone through the steps prior, and that was my early recovery.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And we'll finish on young Lee.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Janie. Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. My name's Young, grateful recovered addict. Thank you, Donna and Ralph. I got to see Donna this year, and now I'm going to get to see you, Ralph, in August. That's amazing. Anyway, to my question, what came to me, and it keeps doing that when I'm listening to speakers, was more will be revealed. What's been revealed to me the last couple of weeks is my lack of humility, really painfully. Now, my question to you guys are down the path, you're my elders. What is currently being revealed to you? Thank you.
Mine is my being able to really listen, to really just connect. And what I mean by listening, I just don't mean just listening. I mean really feeling like I'm connecting with you, which seems to be on a deeper level for me, is to really feel this oneness. That's what I'm experiencing very recently.
God, I am always getting something revealed. If you're in relationship with somebody else, your character defects flare when you think you don't have them. You're always being revealed. And relationship is a significant other. It's parent. It's your kids. This latest deal that I shared about earlier with my mom, when I got super scared, I had a revelation. 3 weeks ago, when you're 95, you take a fall, they can go south really quick. I got scared to death, you guys. And what came out of that fear was, what's the antidote for fear? Not what's the opposite, that's courage. And this is not the antidote to every fear, but this was the antidote I found this particular time. I'm scared of losing mom. I went in the weight room, I started crying. And then it came to me, intuitive thought, God, whatever. But I'm grateful for having mom. I'm grateful that she's here right now. I'm grateful that she's had 38 of my best years. I'm grateful that I've had her on this planet. I'm grateful I've had and then I'm grateful for my family. The ripples came because the White House, we circle the wagons. I have a remarkable family, and I don't always talk about, because everybody doesn't have that experience. But my brothers, there's 4 of us in the program. There's 6 of us still alive. My kids, my grands, and everybody circle. And I just got tears of gratitude. Learn something. I learned that often the antidote for fear is gratitude. Not in every situation, but in situations where I'm fearing loss or I'm fearing something, then I got grateful for what I have now. Donna and I'm 71. And so I'm fearing, that, what comes with this. But I'm grateful that I look good right now, right? 71. I'm not deteriorated yet. I'm grateful that I'm in my right mind, because I get scared about that. I'm grateful that I can walk I'm grateful that you guys come here and say you want to hear from me, bro. Oh my God. I'm grateful that I got sponsees that open up and trust me. I'm grateful. So the stuff that I fear, all that's been a remarkable, wonderful revelation that I get to share with people too, young. And I think I think it's something that many people, if I can incorporate it, it'll serve me well.
Wow. Thank you.